Welcome to TMZ Live. Harvey is, as they say, on assignment, off working on a special we have coming up. But we're going to start right now with Spencer Pratt making some interesting moves and doing one thing that will certainly make some people think of Donald Trump, but doing another thing that is the complete opposite of Donald Trump. So you can't pin this guy down, but I will say this. He is playing to the right audience, if that's what he's doing. And actually, I take him at his word here when he talks about Mexican food and about ICE. So he did an interview with Vanity Fair magazine and said that he is absolutely not in favor of ICE being in LA. Does not want ICE to be. He said, I've said a million times, I don't want ICE here, but I want to get the murderers and rapists out. Now, I think that's a message that a lot of people in LA would completely sign on for, regardless of your politics. And remember, he's running as an independent, but he has also made it clear that he is a registered Republican. So he's got to play to the audience in LA, which is largely Democratic.
That's right, and largely Latino. That is a huge voting bloc here in LA, and he's running against Karen Bass, who is very secure in those areas. The east side of LA is largely black and Latino, and she has a huge base of support there. What his phenomenon has been is largely a west side phenomenon about the fires and Malibu and so forth, which is not nothing, but if he's going to be competitive in the general election with Karen Bass, he's going to need to...
He's got to start getting
He's got to cater to that vote.
He's got to go east of the 110, as we say in LA.
That seems to be what he's doing, although he's echoing Donald Trump when he says, I want the murderers and rapists out, which is what Donald Trump famously said about the Mexicans are murderers and rapists.
Donald Trump said that that's what ICE was going to do, but then once ICE started the raids, a lot of times the people they were picking up were not murderers and rapists.
That's right.
So I think he's making that distinction, which is really smart. Now, that part, this part will maybe feel like he's pandering a bit, but there's a reason to believe him. So he also said this about, I've eaten more Mexican food than any white person in Los Angeles. I love Mexican people. I ate Mexican food 3 days a week for literally maybe 10 years. He grew up here.
He's a big fan of Mexican food. He's had some fundraisers at famous Mexican restaurant institutions.
Several thousand at what is it, Don Antonio's he went?
I think that's right.
Yeah. Dropped like $8,000. Yes.
But this is a page right out of some of my best friends are Mexicans. It sounds like you're sort of protesting too much to sort of secure up loyalty to a population of people that may not necessarily know who you are.
This is the one that may feel like pandering, and especially because this is the one that will remind some people of Donald Trump when he was running for president the first time in 2016, the famous photo of himself on Cinco de Mayo, where he declared, I love Hispanics, while at least having some Mexican food in front of him. Don't know if he actually ate it.
He does this all the time, though. Remember, he was at a rally and he said, "Where are my black people at?" Or where, this feels pandery and not necessarily sincere.
So in one breath, Spencer has declared something that is very much not Trump, saying he doesn't want ICE here, and that will help with voters. Now, will LA voters think he's pandering on the Mexican food thing? I don't know. The guy did grow up here in LA.
It's true to his lived experience.
If you grow up in LA, you eat a lot of Mexican food. That's just a fact.
And he's loved it before this. I mean, before he was running for office, he and Heidi were known for going to that restaurant. It's not that he picked it up just when he started running for mayor.
Can he produce receipts for all 1,500 burritos that he has eaten?
Show us the receipts,
over the last 10 years.
They're going to demand it at the next debate.
Hey guys, so honestly, when it comes to this, I think you can take him at his own word from his own book. He said, your dignity gets real flexible when there's that much cash on tables. Page 108 of his book that came out this past January. And quite frankly, he doesn't have to say that he wants ICE here. They're already here. All he has to say is he's not willing to try to get them out of here. And then furthermore, I can say that I've had more Chinese food than the average person in LA. I'm in Chinatown at least 4 times a week. Does that make me feel like I can easily relate to the group? No. So quite frankly, I think this is kind of like a huge pandering. And not just that, but if you look at his actual billboards around the town, go to majority Latino neighborhoods, especially ones in the Valley, and see how the topics of them change. There's one in the Valley where he's the ones that depict him as kind of like low-wage work, everything. They're conspicuously placed, especially one that places him kind of as a janitor, is in a majority Latino neighborhood in the Valley, everything. So the guy just kind of, like, here's the thing. Don't necessarily believe someone after they got a bunch of money and attention. Believe someone based on what they did before they had all that. Money doesn't actually change who you are. It just amplifies who you are. And honestly, from his own quote, believe him at his own word, everything. I just don't trust the guy, everything. I didn't vote for him, everything.
I hear you. Well, while he did not convince you, by the way, something else that came out in that Vanity Fair article, he somehow is now convinced his sister. His sister, Stephanie, had famously, when he announced that he was running, came out and said, he is horrible for this, he should not be mayor, and she trashed him and made a lot of accusations. She's now come around and said, I was wrong. He spent every day since the fires finding the facts, the mistakes, the negligence, and uncovering the truth that they never wanted us to know. As to why she changed her mind, I'm sure there'll be a lot of theories, but she went on the record saying, vote for Spencer. Well, the Summer House reunion is now out there for everybody to decide who's the real villain here. Is it West? Is it Amanda? Is it both of them? And is Ciara done whining about the fact that her ex-boyfriend is now dating her ex-friend? The reunion started last night. It's 3 parts. I didn't know that there was that much to delve into, but they started with the big stuff, which is all about this love triangle that, or maybe it's not really a triangle. We got more info for the first time about the timeline of when Amanda and West actually got together and what was the real status of Ciara and West's relationship when that transpired. There's a little bit of the fireworks from the first episode of the reunion.
There are numerous times where I tried to make steps to not allow us to get to a romantic place or a physical place and keep it as friends because I wanted to be your friend.
You're so good. You're good at pulling girls. Do whatever you need to do to climb the ladder, to clout chase, to get to wherever you need to go.
And then you drop them.
And then, boom, they don't work for you. They don't serve what you need to be served, and you drop them. You're going to do the same thing to Amanda when this is not working out, because it's not going to, and you're not going to be able to handle it, Wes, because you're a toddler.
Or maybe they'll be together, because I honestly think that the best woman for West is someone who's not gonna check him on anything, and that's totally Amanda. She's very mute. She's gonna be that weak figure that he needs, and he can always be the star in the relationship. So I actually think maybe it could work.
That was harsh.
That's your wife. She's not my wife.
That was a little harsh.
Yes. Chills. I get chills every time I watch that one. It's so good.
So now I know why there's going to be another part, because Amanda has to respond to all of this.
She shouldn't
right?
respond, because she tried to respond earlier in it and it did not go well for her. Just stop talking and apologize.
So I heard West saying at the beginning there, he was talking to Ciara saying,
Yes.
I didn't want it to be romantic between us anymore. Because they had broken up last year.
But then he was saying...
So then what is all this about? He didn't cheat on Ciara.
He was saying during the season that he was in love with her, that it was magic when they were together. He was making out with her right out in the season finale. They were making out on the back porch.
But again, that was last year.
I know, but Ciara's whole thing is, I'm mad at Amanda. How is my best friend doing this to me? You know that this guy is trash, and why are you letting this...
She didn't do anything to her.
She did.
Ciara
She
broke
broke
up
her
with him
trust.
last year, and then this year, the way that they described it last night, they were
Charles?
just hanging out as friends, West and Amanda, and then things like that. Friends that happen sometimes.
West did her dirty, and then it's why would you let this guy that hurt me so bad, that I've cried to you about, come in between us, and now you know that he's not going to be with you? That was Lindsay's whole entire point. He's going to mess around with you, and this isn't gonna work. It's not gonna work. West doesn't know how to be in a relationship. And West was dating a girlfriend, had a girlfriend, even before him and Amanda got together, and there was an overlap there. Trash guy.
But Amanda's fine with it.
She's not. To Ciara's point, she's mute. She's just like a weak person, and that's what she is.
Wow, it seemed like everybody just piling up on Amanda.
Because just everyone knows.
And West got it, but I knew the guy, of course, is going to get it.
Well, because he's trash. We didn't know Amanda was like severely like this bad and like this bad of a person, but now we do. The more you know.
This is Shady JD in Newport Beach, and I completely agree. It's less about West and Amanda, and it's more about the fact that Amanda completely betrayed her best friend. And throughout the season, we see so many instances of
Shady. Hang on, Shady, if I may. I don't understand saying that Amanda betrayed Ciara. Ciara is done with him a year ago.
But throughout the entire season, Amanda is validating Ciara's feelings about West. She said even she would cut West out if he ever hurt Ciara ever again. And it's just true friendship betrayal on another level.
Okay, agree to disagree.
Coming up.
The case of Mackenzie Shirilla has really captivated people, and everyone seems to have an opinion about her case after watching the Netflix documentary, The Crash. But we got some text messages now that paint a slightly different picture about the relationship between Mackenzie and her boyfriend, Dominic.
Be right back.
Welcome back to TMZ Live. The case of Mackenzie Shirilla has really captivated people, and everyone seems to have an opinion about her case after watching the Netflix documentary, The Crash. Mackenzie is the young woman who is serving a life sentence right now for the murder of her boyfriend and one of their friends because she was driving in a car with them early one morning and went speeding down a road 100 miles an hour and crashed into a building. They died, she survived. But now, as we've seen a lot of the details play out in this trial, people are wondering, and we had Mackenzie's father on the show last week, whether or not she really should be serving a life sentence. That if anything, this may be manslaughter and not a murder case. So, which would clearly affect her sentence, which is what her parents would like to happen. They've tried on a couple of appeals and it has failed. But we got some text messages now. These are text messages that we got from the prosecutor's office that paint a slightly different picture about the relationship between Mackenzie and her boyfriend, Dominic. Obviously, the prosecutor said that Mackenzie got behind the wheel that night and intended to kill Dominic, and their friend happened to be in the car as well. So these text messages paint a different picture, that Dominic, apparently, according to Mackenzie, was attempting to kill her at one point. She said she showed up at his house and she's sitting outside and texts him, wants him to come out of the house. He says, fine, I'll come out, give me a sec. And then she tells him, you're gonna go in the back seat of my car because you're not allowed in the front. Okay, well, don't have it started. I don't want you to try to pull off. Now that is interesting because it shows, I think, that he did not want to, something had happened where he didn't want to be in the car with her.
Sure, with her driving.
Something before. So I would see how that would help the prosecutor's case. But then it continues and she answers to him, do you think I would have my car started with you in it knowing that you just tried to kill me? I'm very okay, and you trying to kill me again. You better come inside my car, ready to give 3 reasons why I should be in this relationship with you, and 3 reasons why you love me.
Right.
What is happening here? I mean, obviously, it's very clear from the documentary and from these text messages alone, it's a volatile relationship. Mm-hmm. This is about 2 weeks before the crash.
Correct.
We've heard that he was talking about breaking up with her. Mm-hmm. So whatever it is they're arguing about, why this text where she's saying, you tried to kill me, how did that not become a bigger thing in the trial?
So I think this is kind of stemming from, as you see in the documentary too, they talk about this incident where Mackenzie was driving erratically, according to Dominic and Dominic's family, because Dominic was in the passenger seat, called his mom, said, Mackenzie is driving erratically, she's speeding up, I'm trying to get her to slow down. Dominic's mom responds, says, okay, but we're gonna send, I think they said their uncle.
So that's why he's saying, I don't want to get in the car with
He's
it
scared to
started.
get in the car with her, but she's scared for him to go in the passenger seat because of something that happened in that car weeks before the actual crash.
See, and that's where I think, like, why Mackenzie's lawyer didn't nail that down more. Like, what was, flesh that out. If there really was an incident where Dominic tried to kill her, if there really was, where is that evidence being presented in court?
Right, and I think that's something prosecutors, I mean, there's 30,000 pages of text messages between these two. I mean, they dated for 4 years. But I think that's something prosecutors at the end of the day realized. She was the one behind the wheel. This was premeditated. They said that incident between, Dominic and Mackenzie in the car weeks beforehand, that is part of this premeditated and planned out
Meaning
crash.
that because for several weeks they were going back and forth at each other, arguing about breaking up,
Right.
that
showing up to his house.
she snapped that night and decided that she... I gotta say, when you watch the documentary, at the beginning of it, it seems very clear-cut. Oh, she did this. But as you watch it, I don't know. I don't know that it's as clear-cut as it seemed at the beginning.
For sure, and her, mom mentions that she suffered this disorder called POTS, which can give, like, dizziness, and she says in some of these text messages that we saw too that she's experiencing blackouts. So, and she says too, Mackenzie stays strong and says she doesn't remember what happened.
But again, the POTS thing, which they brought up, and I was like, that seems like a good, plausible defense. At least it would cause some confusion that it's not beyond a shadow of a doubt that she...
Right. But then why don't they have anyone
why
medical
didn't they...
testifying? I
Right.
mean, the family's still trying to appeal to this day, so we'll see if it ever works out. But there's so much evidence, and prosecutors are sure she was purposeful.
It's D from Dallas, and I personally don't think these texts Mackenzie is now showing change anything. I do think that it shows that this is a prime example of how toxic a relationship can get if you don't leave. But I think Mackenzie's team is now trying to use this to change the narrative because Dom is not here to change his side. And it makes you wonder how sorry she really is.
Yeah, her lack of remorse is a big deal in the documentary. And it's one of the reasons people feel like she actually is guilty. But I don't know, they're still trying to get another appeal. I don't know if they're going to get it. But it seems like there's some evidence there that would at least lead to winning a new trial. But to this point, it has not. The AI campaign wars are heating up, and this time it's not Spencer Pratt or Donald Trump involved, but it is California Governor Gavin Newsom and Senator Ted Cruz. So Ted Cruz started this, obviously the senator from Texas, kind of started this, not kind of, he did start it by jabbing at Governor Newsom with this post showing a Chevron gas station in Texas and said, I just filled my tank in Texas. Gas is $3.99 a gallon. Hey, Gavin, the problem isn't Chevron, it's California's stupid energy policies. Now, as I'm sure you've heard, here in California, gas is almost double that. In some places, it actually is double that. But our average is probably, about $7 now or something like that? So this was Gavin Newsom's response, which it's funny, whether accurate. It says, Chevron Cruz is a good boy, and has him depicted as a dog eating out of the bowl. Chevron lap dog.
Two things are true. Number one, Ted Cruz does take money from Chevron. They specifically donated through the Political Action Committee to Ted Cruz's campaign, and Ted Cruz...
Which I'm sure Gavin Newsom looked up before having that image.
And on the other hand, Gavin Newsom does not take money from Chevron. They're in a political feud. But, that said, Ted Cruz is also right that California's gas prices are absurd. You and I drive electric. We don't have to deal with this.
We don't deal with
this,
right?
Nevertheless, they are absurd. We just saw an image there of over $8 per gallon. That's a little high compared to what I've seen, but you're still in the high sixes into the sevens everywhere.
Yes, definitely. I've seen sevens on the regular.
Yeah.
And he is right that the reason that our gas is that much higher is
regulation and
environmental controls.
Yeah.
Which, if you live in California, you could say, all right, our air is better.
Yeah.
When I
was a kid riding my bike in the 70s, you would have to stop every couple blocks because the air was black with pollution or brown pollution, and like you couldn't ride your bike. And by the 80s and 90s, it got a lot better.
Really?
Today, yes. Oh,
it was that bad.
It was that bad. You'd have these smog alert days, like 200 days a year, where they advise you not to do exercise outside because that's how bad it got by the late 70s.
So there's a reason for the prices, but I think maybe hard for people to remember that.
Our gas taxes are really high also. There's a lot of contributing factors.
Right.
Coming up.
A mono-poly relationship is that one partner is monogamous and the other is polygamous.
I am interested in a relationship outside of my marriage because of how I identify.
Be right back.
TMZ's got every freaking thing. Big celebs, big stories, big events.
Megan Thee Stallion adopted a dog.
We rescued a dog. He is so happy.
Can you start rescuing people, man?
It's TMZ.
All right, who's ready to play Monopoly? Oh, wait, I think I'm pronouncing that wrong. It's monopoly. Monopoly is a description of a type of relationship. And I did not know this, but 1 in 20 adults, studies show, are in a non-monogamous relationship. So a monopoly relationship is that one partner is monogamous and the other is polygamous. So how does that work? Why does it work? We are going to talk to someone who is in a very successful monopoly relationship right now. Carla Houston joining us now, and she and her husband have been together, Carla, for 9 years.
9 years married this year. Mm-hmm.
Okay. And you've been in this setup the entire time?
No, we've only been in monopoly dynamic for about 5 years now.
So lay it out for folks. Who's monogamous, who's polygamous, and how did you end up?
So one clarification is neither of us are polygamous. I'm polyamorous. I date women outside of our marriage, and my husband is monogamous.
Got it. So polyamory, you're right. Rather, polygamy would be that you're married to someone. Good distinction.
Right.
Very good distinction. So you're polyamorous. Your husband is monogamous.
Yes.
And you said you're coming up on 9 years of marriage, but you didn't decide to get into this setup until a few years into the marriage, right?
Correct. I came out to my husband as bi back in 2021, and he was fully supportive. And one of his suggestions when I came out was if I felt like I needed to date women outside of our marriage, I could do that solo. However, I felt like that dynamic needed to show up. We could discuss it. So I waited a few months, and then I started dating women later on in 2022.
So what are the ground rules? Does he need to know when you've met someone, when you're going on a date? What's the setup? And how does he avoid jealousy? I would just think that that's a normal sort of human emotion that would happen. And how do you both deal with that?
Yeah, we've built a really good consensual relationship with boundaries. We discuss when I'm talking to someone, but it's not a rule of whether I need to let him know. It's more so if it's getting more in depth, of course, I'll inform him. But we have a pretty good communication between each other that if jealousy comes up, it's something that we talk about. It's more so came up in the beginning of our dynamic when we first started. But I think whether you're monogamous or polyamorous, you're going to deal with that at some point.
So you said you have to discuss if it's getting more intense.
Right. If it's more in depth, if I'm going to have this person around, in our kind of inner circle, in our system, I have to kind of let them know what's going on. I don't want it to be a surprise. And that's something that I really decided. It wasn't something that he demanded.
Is that when you say in your system, meaning like the person that you're dating is going to meet some of your mutual friends?
Correct. Usually if I'm dating if I'm dating someone, excuse me, and it's more serious, I let my husband know that I'm dating a woman and I'm really, thinking that it's going to be more long lasting instead of something shorter. And that's when I might introduce her to him.
So how does he, obviously you're saying he's chosen to be monogamous.
Correct.
How would you feel if he decided that he wanted to be polyamorous?
Yeah, so we've had this conversation multiple times before I started dating, afterwards. I've asked him directly if he felt like he needed to start dating women outside of our marriage, I would be supportive. But it's ultimately something that he's just not interested in doing at this time.
But if he decided he wanted to You've
yeah.
told him that you would be supportive.
I would absolutely be supportive.
So one of the questions I have is, why do this? Why get married? I mean, I guess if what you want is to date lots of different people, to have relationships of whatever nature with different people, why get married at all?
So not a lot of different people, women specifically. And I am interested in a relationship outside of my marriage because of how I identify. Now, being bisexual doesn't mean that you'll automatically start being polyamorous, but for me, it makes sense for our dynamic. It fulfills us on both sides, and it's something that just works, and it doesn't matter if it doesn't make sense to other people because it makes sense to us.
I don't know if you saw an interview that Nikki Glaser did recently where she talked about the fact that she's fine with her boyfriend hooking up with other people, and in fact, it's kind of a turn on to her.
Right.
Have you discussed this with your husband? Is that something that he goes through? Is it a turn on to him to know that you're seeing other people?
From what I've gathered, it is not something that he gets off on. Our relationship is our relationship. And for him, me dating women is me dating women. So it's nothing that he gets aroused or excited over. And just because we're in a monopoly dynamic doesn't mean it's a cuck situation.
So he is not involved when you're involved in these dates?
Absolutely not. Everything is completely solo.
He's not dropping you off for the date or anything? You don't have to say to someone, oh, my husband's coming to pick us up. So
No, not at all. Completely separate.
I know that people have to be really, you said that your friends know about this. Are they all supportive of it? Was it confusing for some of them? Did they think that really what was happening here is you wanted, some people would say you wanted to cheat, but to take away the cheat, you told your husband?
Exactly. I've been told that multiple times by friends and family. I've lost friends, I've gained friends. And for me, I understand that it's not for everyone to be on board with. And I'm not offended if people have an issue with how I live my life because it's my life. And I understand that it's not going to be for everyone.
You do understand that to a lot of people, this sounds like something they'd see on like a reality show.
Yeah.
I'm wondering if any reality producers have come up to you and said, you know what, we could do an interesting show with you guys.
Yeah, I'm waiting on it. I'm sure, it might be an idea at some point.
All right. And I'm just going to say, we're talking to you, which is great. Your husband, does he not like to do interviews? I know we wanted to talk to him, but.
Yeah, he's more of an introverted guy, really to himself, not really into social media like I am. So he's very supportive behind the scenes.
All right. Well, like you said, I mean, it works for you guys. And if it does, that's really all that matters. The reality is, in traditional relationships, lots of them don't work out also. So whatever works for you. Carla, thanks so much for being with us.
Thank you.
Very educational.
Coming up.
Donald Trump is a New Yorker, but he is not necessarily beloved there now, just because of politics. New York being a deeply democratic stronghold. So what he's planning to do at one of the landmarks in Manhattan is very interesting.
Be right back.
Welcome back to TMZ Live. Donald Trump is a New Yorker. The president is absolutely through and through a New Yorker. It's where he grew up. But he is not necessarily beloved there now, just because of politics. New York being a deeply democratic stronghold, and he has, when he's been back in New York, he's heard some boos from time to time. So what he's planning to do at one of the landmarks in Manhattan is very interesting because these leaked images of Penn Station. For those who haven't been to New York City, Penn Station is it is a train depot. It's also a bus depot. And it's right next to Madison Square Garden. And they've been trying to renovate it for years, and apparently the city was taking far too long, and for some technical reasons we're not going to get into, the feds took it over. So now it is a federal project to renovate Penn Station. And some renderings of the Penn Station renovation obtained by The Gothamist show that it is a very Trump-esque design that the feds have come up with for Penn Station. A lot of gold, the presidential seal, and even President Trump's name on the wall.
Yeah.
By the way, this is an $8 billion project that the federal government has now committed to the renovation of Penn Station, which I will say doesn't just affect New York City. It affects train travel up and down the East Coast.
Right.
So there's a reason why the feds would get involved.
That whole Northeast corridor there.
Yes.
Very busy.
So there's a reason why the feds would be involved.
Yeah.
But to put that kind of money in and then to make it.
Do you think it's a troll? The Trump name? I mean, it looks good. I get it. It is Trump. It has got all the gold. It's very
a lot of
Trumpy
gold
looking.
And the pillars.
Yeah. I mean, it looks nice. You set the gold stuff aside. I like gold, but fine. What? Looks good. I got a lot of chains on.
I know you're from Jersey.
Yeah, I got all these chains on here.
Why do you need the presidential seal
I get it. No, I agree.
inside Penn Station?
I think it might be a little bit of a troll because, like you said, not incredibly popular in New York City. I think it might be a troll.
Yeah. That maybe some of the design is true, but the presidential seal
right, you don't need
and
that.
his name.
Right. Can the next president cover that up? I wonder. I don't know.
I'm sure that would just cost another $3 million to change the wall. So, yeah, maybe that part of it is a troll. But look, does it look beautiful? Does it look nice next to Madison Square Garden? It does. If
Penn
you've been
there now, it's
definitely needs a cleanup, without a doubt.
Badly.
But if President Trump gets his way and it looks like this, it is a big troll.
Yeah.
And by the way, so speaking of trolling, New York City, which the president was asked today during the cabinet meeting about, there was a report, I believe in the New York Times, that he's thinking about going to the NBA Finals when the Knicks play in Madison Square Garden. He is friends with the owner of the team, James Dolan. Here's what he had to say about whether or not he's going.
President Trump, the Knicks game next week?
No, I was invited to I was going to go on Wednesday, but they closed it out very quickly. And Jim Dolan's a great guy. He's, as you know, owns and in charge of Madison Square Garden. He's having a good year. Boy, what a team. They win all their games. They have some great players. I think I'll be going to one of the games. I was invited by numerous people and Jim. And I think I'll be going. It's great to see it.
President Trump on election fraud.
The Knicks have really suffered for years.
That is true. The Knicks have suffered for a long time.
I'm curious, Charles, what the reception's going to be.
If he does go, it'll be interesting.
Right. This is not a UFC fight. We've seen him get big cheers there. Maybe a different crowd.
Might be different at an NBA game in the heart of Manhattan.
Right.
Hi, this is Tall Nate from St. Louis. I honestly think that this is peak Trump. Like, most politicians put their name on campaign signs. Trump puts his name on buildings, planes, hotels, and now apparently potentially one of the most famous stations in America. And whether people love him or hate him, nobody understands branding and spectacle in politics better than Donald Trump does. He figured out a long time ago that if people are arguing about your name, you're dominating the conversation.
Which is why he's put his name on top of so many buildings. He gets that part of it, for sure. And by the way, he's also on your passport. Well, Matthew Perry's former assistant found out his fate today as he was sentenced after striking a plea deal in the case, pled guilty to distribution of ketamine, and was waiting to find out what his sentence would be. And before the judge made the ruling today, there was some evidence that was submitted, really weird things that happened around Matthew Perry's death. But the bottom line for Kenneth Iwamasa is that he is going to prison for almost 3.5 years.
3.5 years. He was facing, I think, 15 years in prison for securing Matthew the ketamine and injecting him with the ketamine on the day he died. Prosecutors were definitely looking for a lot longer than 3 years.
Right, they wanted more than that. So the judge did seem to show some lenience.
Yes.
Perhaps because he cooperated.
That was a big deal. He did work with prosecutors on the case, and he also claimed that everything he did was because his boss told him to do it. That was his argument in court.
Well, the one thing that was, there's a letter that was submitted by Matthew's close friend,
Lisa, yes,
where she said that Kenneth went for a drive the morning that after Matthew Perry died.
Shortly after Matthew died, it's unclear if it was hours after, days after, he called her at 4 a.m. driving Matthew's car from, I think,
the Hollywood Hills
to Malibu,
Yeah.
and she said he was loving the life, and The family also claims that they all feel like he was trying to maintain this lavish lifestyle that he was living, and, you know, they're not fans of his.
Well, the judge seemed to show some leniency, but he is going away for a long time.
Yeah.
Coming up.
I learned so much about Gayle King from just one episode of Call Her Daddy. The relationship with Oprah. Obviously, they are best friends, but there have been rumors that persisted for a very long time that they were more than just friends. And Alex got to the bottom of this.
Be right back.
I learned so much about Gayle King from just one episode of Call Her Daddy. She went on there, and Alex Cooper got into all sorts of relationship stuff with Gayle. The history of Gayle and her first husband, and how she caught him cheating with a friend, like the whole thing. It feels very Summer House, but more intense and, I dare I say, more real. But the other thing that she talked about is the relationship with Oprah. Obviously, they are best friends, but there have been rumors that persisted for a very long time that they were more than just friends. And Alex got to the bottom of this. What's interesting is that Oprah and Gayle were not aligned on how to handle those rumors.
Number one, if we were gay, we would tell you, because believe me, there's nothing wrong with it. It's just, I prefer a man. I prefer a man. So we would tell you. And then I would say to her, you've got to say something on your show, because it's hard enough for me to get a date on a Saturday night, and now people think I'm a lesbian. You've got to say something. And she said, no, we should just leave it be. I said, no, you've got to say something. She said, no, just leave it alone. Leave it alone. So, well, that's fine for you to say. You have somebody. I don't. So it used to really bother me. And now, even today, there's still people that say, well, you know, the truth is, I don't care.
Did anybody else feel that when Gayle said, I want a man?
She didn't say I want. She said I prefer. Which
Well,
for
I
me,
heard what I
yeah,
heard.
I'm a.
All right, I heard what I heard. Well, tell me what I heard.
I'm just, if she's gonna be, she better. I wish she would have said I want a man, because if you're gonna talk about the long-standing rumors, preferring and wanting are totally different things. But at the end of the day, I get what she's saying, as far as wanting Oprah to set the record straight. one, she's Oprah. Two, you got Stedman. Like, I don't have my long-term boyfriend.
But I get Oprah's, I'm sure the way Oprah is viewing it is like, why are we going to give more energy to this?
Yeah, because
if I do it on my show, at that point when Oprah's show was the biggest thing in the world, if she were to do that, then there'd be headline after headline.
But
people would be saying she's being defensive.
If Oprah was single and she didn't have Stedman, wouldn't she want to go on her show and be like, let me shut this down? Because now she's closing the door to have a partner.
What are you suggesting, that Oprah wanted Gayle to remain single?
No, I just felt like she wanted to keep her show more to herself than she cared to make sure that Gayle got a man.
I don't know.
She picked and chose, and she chose her show and herself over her best friend Gayle.
Wow.
Hey, I'm Christiana from Atlanta, and I love that Gayle is finally clarifying this, because it has been a rumor back in the day. Like, even when I was a kid, that was the major rumor. But I'm so happy that she had the courage to finally speak out and say, hey, this is not me. This is what I prefer. And I hope she continues to speak out. I love hearing her voice.
Absolutely. Love Gayle. She also talked about a lot of her crushes. I was not on the list.
Coming up.
We're about to show you some dartboard material. I'm pretty sure somewhere in the White House, this photo will be up, and if anyone hands Donald Trump some darts, he will be throwing it at two of his political enemies who are vacationing together.
Be right back.
All right, we're about to show you some dartboard material. I'm pretty sure somewhere in the White House, this photo will be up, and if anyone hands Donald Trump some darts, he will be throwing it at two of his political enemies who are vacationing together. So TMZ DC got a hold of this photo. That is Thomas Massie, the Kentucky congressman, next to Marjorie Taylor Greene. They are with their significant others on vacation down in Costa Rica. What's interesting is that this beach trip comes right after Massie lost the primary last week. And Massie is one of the guys that the Kentucky congressman who Donald Trump has attacked for years, saying that he is basically a fly in the ointment. The guy never wants to go along with whatever I want to do, and he screws up my plan. So as he is threatened, he followed through and primaried, got someone to primary against Massey, and Massey lost. So the fact that a few days later, Massey ends up on a beach in Costa Rica with Marjorie Taylor Greene, who very famously has parted ways, or infamously, depending on your political affiliation, has parted ways with Donald Trump. So what they're talking about, they both have hinted that they might have, national election aspirations in the future, that they might run for office. So we will see what happens if they team up. But yeah, Donald Trump definitely will be throwing darts at that photo.
My name is Cash, and I'm from LA. First of all, why it look like they filming a season of Love Island, Capitol Hill edition? And I'm not even mad, because if I lose a campaign, I'm fueling at the jet too. Because why cry in America when you could cry in Costa Rica? Major Reed said, me and my man, we on an island, ocean breeze, palm trees, on the balcony. I ain't mad at him.
Yeah, I don't know if they're doing all that, but yes, if you could do it there, if you can lick your wounds in Costa Rica, do it. What else do you guys want to talk about?
Hi, I'm Samantha. I'm calling in from Chicago because we need to discuss the Summer House reunion. West has just not changed one bit. That is my thesis. Of course, he went in mute again, not speaking, similar to his season 1 reunion, not taking any accountability, and just let his girl Amanda take all the heat.
I'm pretty sure we're going to see Amanda fire back in maybe part 2 or part 3. One more.
Hi, my name is Nina. I'm from Chicago, Illinois. Just weighing in on the Gavin Newsom versus Ted Cruz. Sorry, someone's walking in. Ted Cruz situation.
I hope you know them.
Yes. If you want my honest, immediate reaction, it was screw AI. I mean, it's a senseless waste of energy, especially this, though it did give me a chuckle. However, Gavin is not the first person to use an AI-generated image in a political debate before, and I think I would just wish politicians would go back to being politicians.
No.
As someone who commutes, I can confidently say gas is an issue everywhere, not just in California. So
yes. Yeah, that is true. It is an issue everywhere. It's also true that AI will be everywhere when it comes to political campaigns.
Coming up.
Well, I regret to inform you of this, but there is a dog in Oklahoma that is definitely going to be looking for work. Well, the Tulsa Drillers have a dog for a bat boy. Well, that player right there is not a fan of this program.
Be right back.
Well, I regret to inform you of this, but there is a dog in Oklahoma that is definitely going to be looking for work. I love this about minor league baseball. They have all these little these little gimmicks they do to get people to come to the games. Well, the Tulsa Drillers have a dog for a bat boy. How cute, right? Who doesn't love the dog runs out, picks up the bat, runs back to the dugout? Well, that player right there is not a fan of this program because he is now injured because he was running to the dugout when the dog went running out to go pick up a bat, and he was actually injured. One of the top prospects in the Dodgers minor league farm system, now injured because of that pup. I have a feeling the Tulsa Drillers are going to be changing their bat boy. Sorry, pup. We'll see you guys tomorrow.